Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Kirsty, my pronouns are they, them, and I am coming to you from Paisley, which is not too far away from Glasgow in Scotland. I would like to welcome you to my new channel, Knit, Crochet, Read, Repeat. I did have the channel that was formerly called Grenadic Creations, and I've decided to move away from that channel because that name reflected a part of my life that is now closed off. I used to make project bags, I used to dye yarn, and I no longer do that. And that channel had already gone through one name change. Well, technically it had two different names. And I really didn't want to go through a third one, so I decided to start from scratch and see how we get on with this one. But this channel is more going to reflect different aspects of my life that we didn't cover on that channel. So there's going to be the usual knitting and crochet. There's also going to be some spinning and some cross stitch, and I'm also hoping to maybe discuss some books or audiobooks that I've been going through. And then also a portion of this channel will be my budgeting. And just to cover really briefly what I mean by that is I plan to, monthly with each wage I get in, I plan to have a set amount that I'm going to spend per week, and then hopefully be able to save a decent portion of my monthly wage and pay off debts that I have and also start saving up. But I'll go into more detail when it comes to those types of videos. So for now, we're just going to jump straight in with a standard kind of like knitting and crochet one. Then I might do a separate cross stitch one because I've got a lot to show off there. And then soon to follow will be a budgeting one as well. So I really hope you enjoy what you see, and feel free to like and subscribe to the channel and share with your friends or whatever. But let's just jump straight in, shall we? So I've got a bunch of socks to show off that I'm not sure were shown off in my previous channel, but we're just gonna show them off regardless. So the first pair are a West Yorkshire Spinners yarn. They're all vanilla socks, there is no pattern, it's just different yarns. My socks tend to be either 64 stitches or recently I've been moving up to 68 stitches. I always knit on a 2.25mm needle if they are for myself. If they're for other people, I tend to go up to a 2.5, sometimes even a 2.75mm needle, and the stitch count can vary depending on the person. But all of the following socks are for myself and have been knit on 2.25mm needles, which is a US 1, and it's just the yarn that differs. So the first one is some West Yorkshire Spinners. I really love this colorway. I picked this yarn up from Hobbycraft, which is a store here in the UK. I think it's kind of like your Michaels in the US. I'd say Joann's, but Joann's has unfortunately gone into administration. So this sock was 64 stitches with 10 or 15 rows of 2x2 ribbing, and then not as long a leg as I've been making recently. I then do a heel flap and gusset, and then I work to the length I require, and then I just do a standard box or wedge toe. So that's my standard sock. I basically work vanilla socks a lot because they tend to be like my commuting knitting, my social knitting, or if I've got like appointments and stuff. So I don't like to have to try to remember to pack my pattern or remember where the patterning is going to be on the sock. So a lot of my socks are vanilla socks. So the next pair have a much longer leg than I am used to. And I decided this year that I was going to knit socks a lot longer because I don't have long socks, and in winter I would really appreciate longer socks than what I have. And so this is another West Yorkshire Spinners. This is their Christmas colorway, or their winter colorway for 2024, and it does have stellina in it, so it is sparkly. And this one is, I want to say 68 stitches, and it has a much longer leg than I would normally knit. So if we put these side by side, so the heel starts here, whereas the heel starts here, so I'd say there's at least a good inch between the difference of these socks. And again, I just wanted longer ones for winter for keeping me warm, but I also wanted longer socks for when I wear my Doc Martens so I don't get rubbing on the back of my leg. But otherwise it's all the same. I do the same length of heel flap and gusset, which is 20 rows, and then I do the turn. And I am, from the point of completing the decreases for the heel to the start of the toe, there is 88 rounds. I have large feet. I have a UK 9, which I think is like a US 10. So I have quite big feet. And so I do require that amount of work. So I've got it all down to a really fine art now for getting the socks to the correct size for me. And that is, again, oh no, it's not 88 rounds from the point of decrease, sorry. From picking up for the heel flap to the toe, to the start of the toe decreases is 88 rounds. From the picking up to the end of the decreases is 30 rounds for me. So 30 rounds to the stitch marker, and then to the start of the toe, the total is 88 rounds. So just to prove, there are 2 socks for each of these. This year I treated myself to a yarn club. I've never had I've had mini clubs, like mini skein clubs, but I've never had an actual yarn club. And I decided to treat myself to the Fantasy Fibres Yarn Club from For the Love of Yarn, which is based in Glasgow. And the first box was delivered kind of at the very end of January, start of February. So every month my socks are technically going to be a month behind. So the plan is to knit at least 12 pairs of socks this year using the yarn club. But it will take me up until January of 2026 to complete them. Sorry, I'm looking off because my cat is on her cat tree in the window, sleeping. But every now and again, her tail is hitting the ball that dangles from the cat tree, which has a little bell on it. So the bell is distracting me, but it's just like her tail just keeps swishing to hit it. And I don't know if it's because she can hear me talking and it's not towards her. She's got this thing where she freaks out. She's like, "Are you okay?" But yes, anyway, I decided to treat myself to this yarn club, and I get the 100 gram skein and the 20 gram mini skein, the contrasting mini. And so the first month, so January's, now I do plan on posting my unboxing videos that follow, but some of them do start with my old channel name, so that's something to bear in mind. And I'm deliberately kind of going to be posting them delayed so that there's no spoilers. So I'm going to be showing off January's and February's completed, and I'm currently working on March's box. So if you do get this yarn club and you have not if you've not unboxed them, this is your warning to probably look ahead or skip forward, just so you don't get spoilers. So here is January's colorway, which so far I think is my favourite. And If you do want to know more details about the yarn, the colourway name, everything else, you will need to check out the unboxing videos because I don't recall that information. But this is January's. I think this colourway so far is my favourite. There is pops of this kind of like bright green, but I love a good purple yarn, and the colours in this is just so nice. There's like kind of not hot pink, but there is definitely kind of like a brighter pink, purple, a dark blue, a sky blue, pale blue, and then there's that green I already mentioned. And then I feel like the contrasting mini just goes with this so well. It complements it really, really well. And for this pair only, I didn't do the heel turn in the contrasting yarn, and that ended up making things trickier when it came to cutting yarns and having less ends to weave in and stuff like that. So I don't know where that sentence was going, but moving forward, I've done the heel turn in the contrasting yarn as well. But I really like these. Like, I think this one, like I said, this one's my favourite colourway so far. And again, 2 socks. This one still has ends to be woven in, whereas all the ends in this one have been woven in. So that was January. And then this one is February. Also needs the yarn woven in. I really just need to sit down with all my finished projects that need the ends woven in and just spend a day doing that. It will be boring as hell, but it'll get done. So this one is February's box. I do feel like this is not really my colour choice. If I was in a store and I saw this, I probably wouldn't pick it up, but that is probably the only downside to having like a mystery yarn club, is that you just don't know what you're getting, and so you might get colours that you wouldn't pick up yourself. Like, for all I know, any of you watching this could think this is a horrible colourway, but I think this is lovely. So I still knitted them, even though it's not my first choice of yarn. I still think it is a beautiful colourway. It's just not something I would gravitate towards. And I still knit them for me because I have a plan for the leftovers of each of these months. And I also think that Lisa has done superb with the contrasting colour. I think this complements the yarn really well as well. It's a gorgeous kind of like jewel tone green, but I think also some people would maybe class that as teal. My definition of teal and other people's definitions of teal kind of headbutt each other, and they do not go very well. Like, very drastic difference in what people class as teal. But yeah, so I do like them. I will wear them, but like I say, if I was in a store and this was offered against other ones, this would probably not be my first choice of colour. Now, I don't know what way I should order this, if I should stick with finished objects or if I should show you my sock whip. And just because we are talking about the yarn club, I think I'll stick with the sock whip. So this is March's box. So this is the newest one, and people should, if they have got this, they should have opened it by now, maybe, depending on your plans, because April's is about to be shipped out, and I really like this one. And again, the contrasting colour, it complements it so well. I just need to put the toe in on this one, and then the first sock will be done. And I've started the heel flap on the second sock. So I am recently just back from my honeymoon where I was in Vegas, so I needed a lot of plain knitting, and I decided that the sock was going to be the perfect project for working on the plain. And I got the cuff all the way down the leg, the heel, and most of the decreases done on our flight out to Vegas. Now we had 2 flights. We had one from Glasgow to Amsterdam and then another one from Amsterdam to Vegas. And I don't think I'd done any knitting on the way to Amsterdam because it's quite a short flight. But I did get a lot done on the Amsterdam to Vegas flight. And then throughout the almost 2 weeks that we were there, I would kind of pick up my sock every now and again. I didn't get a lot of knitting done whilst we were in Vegas. But every now and again, like if we were in the hotel room, or there was one occasion where we knew our dinner was going to take a while to be cooked, and so I deliberately brought my project with me. So I picked up an extra needle when I was out there, and I was able to start the second sock for the flight because I didn't have my longer circular needle to do the toe, and I also didn't want to have to deal with doing the toe on the flight home. So just got to put the toe in, and then sock 1 will be done. And like I said, I have started the heel flap for sock 2. So my numbers are 15 rows of 2x2 ribbing, and then I do 70 rounds for the leg. I then do 20 rounds for the heel flap, then I do my heel turn, and then between picking up down the sides of the heel flap and completing the decreases is 30 rounds, and then I work to a total of 88 rounds, and then I do my wedge toe decreasing with a plain round in between until I get to 18 stitches, and then I graph my toe. So that is March's. I'm really looking forward to seeing what April's is, because I would say, now bear in mind it is a Fantasy Fibres club. It is based around the fantasy world, so we've had one related to like witchcraft or a book about wizards. My memory is god awful, and I've also had like a big holiday since opening these, but like when I see this one, so this was February's colour, I think of Easter. So it's really interesting to be able to interpret the colours yourself, but also opening these boxes every month has opened me up to new books to read or new people, and seeing how Lisa interprets these things as well is really, really interesting. So it's been really fun having this yarn club each month. So a finished object I have, which has not been blocked, is the Kala tee by Pip and Pin. It's been partially blocked. So it's been blocked up until, yeah, you can kind of see the line. So it's been blocked up until here. And that was purely because I was working with quite a small quantity of yarn, enough for a tee for myself, a cropped tee. But I just wanted to make sure, because I haven't done a tee with lace work at the top, and I needed to see how much this would grow. And I might still go back and alter some stuff. So this sleeve, for example, it's not tight, but it's snug. And so I think I need to take that out and maybe go up a needle size and see how that gets on, and then just bind off very, very loosely. But if I remember correctly, I've got two, because I was using two different yarns, but two different dye lots of the same yarn, and they were very different. Like, the clearly dyed at different points, or one just didn't get as much dye, like it just isn't as vibrant. And because of that, I was working changing yarns. So I've got two small balls of yarn that I could go in and add more length so that this isn't absurdly cropped. It's not, how to put this into words. I'm not a super cropped person, but in the right outfit, I feel like it works really, really well. Now, I am, for those that are not aware, I am on the bigger side. I am classed as like plus size, and so for my body type and my comfort level, now that's something I really want to emphasize, is my comfort level. I'm not a big cropped person, but I have the Mount Pleasant tee, also by Pip and Pin, which is cropped, and I love wearing that over dresses. And so this was the hope for this one, that I would be able to wear this over dresses and be quite comfortable. And so I think for definite, I'm going to definitely fix the sleeves. I don't want anything tight around my arms. And once I've fixed that, I think I will wear it and see how I feel about the actual length of the top before I go in and knit it, and then maybe make it look worse because I've added that extra length, where it's no longer cropped, but it's not full length either. And I feel like that's more of an awkward length. I would rather it's cropped or full length, not in between those two options. So yeah, all of that to say, this is finished for now. I'm going to go in and alter the sleeves just a little bit. I did add in some stitches under the arm that was not part of the pattern, just so that I had a little more wiggle room. I have very voluptuous bingo wings, and so I needed a little extra space. And I also added some extra stitches down the side so that it would flare out just a little bit for my tummy, just for comfort as well. Hopefully it looks good. Not tried it on and looked in the mirror, but I'm hoping how I've put in the increases will be flattering. So we'll find out soon enough. The yarn for this is by someone that does not dye anymore that I'm aware of, but it is Otherworldly Yarns, and it is in the Psychedelic Easter Egg colourway, and I love this yarn. I had it in a different base and I made a pair of socks in them, and I freaking loved those socks, but they felted. So that really sucked. So I bought more in a different base, and I thought, do you know what, I got two skeins, it would make a great tee, and I definitely think I made the right choice. I know it's not everyone's colourway, but I just think this over like a really nice dress would be beautiful. So the stitch markers are to indicate the front of the project because they are knit identical, and I needed to remember the front from the back when I was working on it. But you can wear this without any any need to know the front from the back, because they just look absolutely identical. So yeah, fix the sleeves on this one, block it completely because the bottom part isn't blocked. You can actually see, if I hold it up, you can see the line where up to where I had done and blocked it, and then where I've knit since blocking. So the next project I was working on before I went on holiday, before I went on my honeymoon, and I was very eager to work on this project. And it's not that that's changed, it's just I'm still getting over jet lag. And I looked at this project the other day and I'm like, I don't know where I am. I've not got a clue where I am in this project. I even looked at it at first and went, what's that? Like, what project is that? So we'll start with the actual project. This is the Perennial by Lisa K. Ross. And if we move in, it is a scarf project. Do we have a up close pattern? Up close photo. So it's been folded over so you can see like the aspects of the design. And there is a recommended yarn, and it is Emma's Yarn Super Silky Smalls, 80% superwash merino, 20% silk, and then also 10 20-gram mini skeins. And I'm not using any of those recommended yarns. I'm not even using recommended 100 grams and then 20-gram minis. I am using hand spun yarn. This is a chain ply yarn that I done last year, maybe the year before, and I don't remember who the dyer is. I really need to take better notes of my making and my spinning to be like, this is who the dyer was, this was the dyer's colorway, this is the meterage, because of course I don't know the meterage of this yarn. I am just hoping I will be able to knit the scarf long enough before I ran out of yarn. But this is a chain ply, and it is technically a self-striping yarn. That is one of the good points of a chain ply, is that you can keep colours together, and this is what it looks like so far. So I started this just before going away, so there's not a whole ton of work, and I decided I wasn't taking this on the plane. I just wanted something simple, which was the sock, and I wanted a crochet project as well in case they took my needles off of me, which they did not. So this has been left now for over 2 weeks, and looking at it I'm just like, oh, I want to start. So you can see here the design element, these little, it looks like kind of like flowers, and a lot of it is also done in a, well, it changes between garter and stockinette, and then the design elements are called wildflowers. And so you literally just change between stockinette, garter, stockinette, wildflower, garter, stockinette, wildflower, garter, stockinette, garter. So it's a good pattern, and it's going to look like a wonderful scarf, and it's also going to block out and not grow too much. I don't want to over block, but like that's a good amount of growth. And then I'm hoping that I'll be able to add extra length in the blocking process, because like I said, I have no idea the meterage. I tried to work it out. Like I weighed out a gram of yarn and then I measured that. I'm sure it was like 3.5 meters per gram. Or I think I decreased it down to like 3 just to be on the safe side. So I think it worked out as like 500, 600 meters that I've got. And so I'm hoping that's going to be good enough for a decent size. Now bear in mind they do say that oh, they work in yards in this one. So the main colour, oh no. Oh, I'm confused now. Because it talks about 100 grams, but then it says contrast in colour 1 to contrast in colour 10. 1 20 gram mini skein in each of 10 colours, which is 80 yards, which is 800 yards. But it also then doesn't mention that 100 grams that it talked about. Oh well, I have 600 meters, so thereabouts. Let's take that with a pinch of salt. And so we'll see what we get done, how much length we get out of it. As long as it's enough to wrap around once, I'll be very happy. But I might aggressively block it when it comes time. I'm just really happy to be using up hand spun yarn. I love spinning, and then I just skein it up and then put it in my yarn stash and then never knit with it. So it feels really good to be knitting with my hand spun. Okay, so we're going to move on to crochet projects, and I only have 2. One of them, oh actually no. Before we move on to crochet, I'm going to show off my overfilled blocking board. So my mum very kindly picked up this blocking mat board thing, and before I went on holiday, so around 2 weeks ago, I pinned these out dry. I did not leave them wet. I didn't wet them. I didn't dampen them. Nothing. I've just pinned them out dry to see what happens. And I haven't taken one off yet to see the size difference, but I think like I've maximized, I'm using the biggest option on this mat that I can, or board, sorry, it's not a mat, it's a board because it's wood. So I've pinned them out to the biggest size that this board can go, and I haven't taken one off yet to see what happens, because bear in mind again, I have done this dry. Like I did not even remotely dampen them. Yeah, it's done a fairly decent job, but it's not obviously as good as if I'd wet blocked it. But again, it's done a fairly decent job. It's stretched out some of that lace work. So this was a project I was doing over Advent. A friend of mine had sent me some mini skeins, and this is an Amba O'Brien pattern. So I'm rethinking the blocking situation. I might need to go back and wet block all of these, but I also might just join them and then block the finished pattern, like the finished blanket, and see how that goes. Don't know, I'm thinking out loud at this point. I brought it over just to show off, but it's definitely blocked out better than I anticipated. They were a lot more scrunched up before I'd done this, so I'd call it a win, but going forward definitely needs to be wet blocked. I think I just got a skelf. I did. I just got a wee skelf. So that is a project that hopefully will be seen in the future, because I would love to get something finished. I have more projects that I know what to do with and that I can make time for. So I would love to get this done and see how big it is, because I might be able to add to it. But I reckon I'm going to have to find a different joining yarn, depending on how big this is, because I only have so much of that yarn. The blue yarn that you see here on the edge was sent to me by someone in America, and I only have one skein of it. And so if I need to make the blanket bigger, then I would need to finish the yarn, finish the square in that yarn, and so I might not have enough to join all of the squares and also make it bigger. So I'm going to need to look through my stash and find something that either complements it or is very, very close to this colour and see what happens. Okay, now we'll move on to crochet. Pattern, 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 pattern. So many pages in this pattern. Where's the beginning? Oh, don't tell me I don't actually have the beginning pages. 6, 7, 13, 14. I don't actually have the beginning pages. Well, that's going to be fun. Did any of them say what the pattern is? Ah. So this is a crochet blanket. I'll put the name of it in the description box below, along with the designer or the link to the pattern. I have made this before once, but I'm doing a different petal shape. I'm doing the more rounded petal. And this is a baby blanket. And I freaking love this colour. This is Yarn Smith's Elvis, and it is double knit yarn, and we are looking at 150 grams per ball, and that is 540 meters, and it is 100% acrylic yarn. This is ball 2, so I've already got over 500 meters in this project. And once you get to a certain size, a round takes a very long time. You wouldn't think it, but it does. And so I've stalled out on this one, and for 2 reasons. And one I'm not going to get into because I don't know. You never know who watches. But I've stalled out because each round takes so long, and going into summer, I don't really want a big blanket on my lap. I'm already struggling with the heat. I don't want to add a blanket on top of that. So hopefully I'll be able to get this picked up and finished. It did have a recipient, an intended recipient, but don't know if that's going to go ahead. But yeah, Pattern is lovely. I misunderstood it to begin with for the first one that I made, but now having worked on it for a second project, I know what I'm doing. Just every now and again, if I don't pay attention, I put my increases in the wrong place and it kind of skews it a little bit, but it's not something you can't fudge and fix further up to kind of like bring it back to the center point. So it's not a mindless project. I don't find crochet mindless. I find it is something I have to pay attention to, but sometimes my counting is off. We are only human. Or sometimes because of the different rows, so there's like 3 different rows where the increases are laid out differently. And if you're not paying attention properly to the row below, you might put them in the wrong place. So every now and again, there is a mistake, but we are not about perfectionism. So again, the name of the pattern and the designer will be in the description box below, because apparently I have lost the first 6 pages of the pattern. Where are we going to put this? Annoyingly, I'm looking at the pattern for this one and it's not in total easy reach, but hey ho. The following project is what I decided to take on the plane with me for a crochet option, but I'm going to preface this by saying that the pattern is horrifically written. If it wasn't for YouTube, I probably would have just found another project, and that's annoying because I really want the finished object. So this is a cowl project, and I'm just gonna scoot off camera and grab the pattern. So this is the Dotty Cowl in Malabrigo sock, and it is a pattern for Malabrigo. And with no offense to the designer of this pattern, Lena Fedotova, I do think it is horrifically written. And I know other people that have worked on this project also think it's really badly written. On the project page for it, if it wasn't for someone saying, had it not been for YouTube, they also wouldn't have been able to complete the project, they probably would have given up as well. That's what made me go onto YouTube and find somebody who was kind enough to go through basically each row of the project. And yeah, even now, knowing what I need to do, I still think it's a really badly written pattern. I think the finished object is going to be wonderful. It is technically a 2-sided pattern, but the yarn I used, it's a bit crazy on the right side. So I like the wrong side because I think it gives that, like, you see the pop of colour in that silver, and I just think it looks really wonderful on this side. I do like the crazy side. Don't get me wrong, I do like the crazy side. I picked the yarns for a reason. So the yarns themselves, this is one of the yarns I used to dye. It's just kind of like silvery grey, and I've had this yarn kicking around my stash now for a good couple of years. It was a yarn back when I went by my first YouTube name, and so this is a good couple of years old, so it feels really good to be using this up. And then the next yarn is, now I've not looked at the ball band since over 2 weeks ago, so it's either Woolly Mama or Woolly Mammoth. And this is a yarn I purchased a couple of years ago, and I think this yarn is amazing. Now, on the plane back, we had a nighttime flight. Our flight was at 9:10, and for a while I was able to work on this project, but they very quickly basically turned the lights right down and it became very difficult to work on this. But when they were turning the lights down, there wasn't a blue light per se, but the blue light effect was there because this started glowing. This yarn started becoming very, very fluorescent in the plane. And my partner was trying to fall asleep, and I really wanted to say something to somebody, or I wanted to take a photo, but the seats were really, really tight. My phone was tucked down the side and he was trying to sleep. And so I just had to enjoy it all by myself, and I really want this finished, and then I want to have like a blue light, or black light, so that I can take a photo and show it all lit up because it looked really cool. So yeah, either Woolly Mama or Woolly Mammoth, and apologies, the tag's upstairs. I'm not going upstairs for it. But this is a slow project, which I'm enjoying. Don't take that as a negative way. I'm really enjoying having a slow project to work on. I find that my socks are very mindless and I just work through it, and the next thing I know, they're nearly done. Whereas this one, I have to think about it, make sure I'm doing the right thing on the right side, because you work on this is apparently the wrong side, and then this one is the right side. And so every now and again, you do turn your work around, and then you use both yarns as well. So you need to be paying attention, and I sometimes just really enjoy being very mindful about what I'm doing, and that is this project. And I just think it's going to be a really awesome cowl to have. I'm thinking at least double the size, so that it's nice and I can maybe like fold it over. Like even the size it is just now is really cool. Like that would be really nice to wear kind of like tucked into a jacket, but I'm picturing at least double the size it is. And also I would like to use up nearly all this yarn. So we'll see how long we get it, but I think I'll measure it just now and then aim for double and see what I have left, and then I can make a decision as to whether I'm going to make more or if I'm just going to be like, no, we're good, like let's cut it off now, because I don't want it to be too long and therefore too bulky. I would need to see what it's like folded completely double, and then completely double's fine, but it's very thin at this point, so I do think I need to work it higher before I can make a judgment call. But yeah, badly written pattern, but very fun project. And again, I'm so thankful for the people, because there's more than one, that have taken the time to make a YouTube video to walk you through the pattern. Because again, if it wasn't for those people, I would have just called it quits on this pattern. I would have found something else to work on that was simple enough, knowing I didn't have a printer to print the pattern off. So yeah, that is all the knitting and crochet I have. I think I'm going to end this video now, but I'm going to record a second one showing some of the yarn I got from my holiday. Then I'm going to be doing a different video for my cross stitch and some recent cross stitch acquisitions. And then I'm going to be doing a third video, but I reckon that one will take quite a while to post because it's going to be a long-term project, and I'm going to do it as like one big video for the entire duration. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and please do like and subscribe to the channel if it is your cup of tea. But thanks for sticking with me whilst I do this change and move over to a new channel. Let me know in the comments below what you're working on, or is there something you saw today that you think is pretty cool, or what's the weather like where you are? Anything. Let's start a conversation in the comments below. And until the next video, please stay safe, and I will talk to you later. Bye.